All right.
Whenever you're ready.
With our extended producer responsibility theme. This is a similar but different topic, household hazardous waste. Thousands of everyday household products are classified as household hazardous waste. It's a little scary when you start to learn about it. Most residents don't know what is actually considered hazardous and what's not. That makes it hard for us to know how to manage a dangerous product at the end of life. Even when you know the product simply cannot be just thrown away, a lot of communities lack collection systems or drop-off facilities. And of course, that's assuming that the consumer is aware of the fact that they're not supposed to just toss this item into the trash. We're starting to see, of course, collection and disposal costs increasing. Not a new topic to this committee. Cities and counties, of course, are having to raise the rates to cover the costs of having to handle all this new material, or they're, of course, having to reduce services, which further reduces convenience for local residents. Now, we know CalRecycle offers limited grants to build facilities or expand existing ones, but funding's fallen way short of what's needed. Just to give you one example from Damon's neck of the woods, CalRecycle had a cap of $5 million a year, and the expected construction cost of the new facility in Sonoma is between 13 to 16 million. So there's just nowhere near the amount of money available to help all the local governments handle this challenge. So we're trying to address this crushing set of costs and also the lack of convenient access to a proper disposal system. So this bill, SB 1143, requires producers of the most toxic consumer products to form a producer responsibility organization, a PRO, similar to the model that we created under SB 54, that will be tasked with enhancing accessibility and fully funding the safe collection, transportation, and disposal of this household hazardous waste. This allows producers to cost-effectively improve access to convenient waste disposal. They can either fund an improved local system, or if they want to do it on their own, they can create an alternative. It puts the producers in the driver's seat to determine how to do it. The bill also requires robust education and outreach to ensure consumers know which products are toxic, how to handle them properly. It's like recycling. The list. It's hard to know what's actually toxic, what's not. A lot of cleaning products that you think are really clean, well, they're actually very dangerous to throw into the landfill. Lastly, the bill will encourage producers to invest in less toxic alternatives. So if a producer would prefer not to participate in the PRO, they can reformulate their product to a non-toxic alternative, and then they don't have to be part of the scheme at all. Under our current system, the problem is that producers simply don't have any incentive to consider the end-of-life costs when formulating their products. And those costs don't appear on their balance sheets. They appear on our balance sheets, right? It's ratepayers, it's local governments, it's residents, it's the environment. And so with this bill, the producers will finally have some skin in the game. And here's the thing, household hazardous waste products are too widespread to tackle product by product. We love one-off bills here in the legislature. Part of why I'm not a big fan of one-off bills, and I voted for some of your one-off bills. But quite frankly, it's not my, I don't think it should be our preferred path, because in the end of the day, these are big, wide-scale problems. It was just like the plastic straws. Okay, we felt good about banning plastic straws, but meanwhile, we got all this other plastic waste piling up. And was it really about getting rid of plastic straws, or was it about trying to reduce plastic waste? A similar situation here. We need a more comprehensive approach to addressing how the challenge of household hazardous waste. And that's what this bill does. It addresses the most dangerous consumer products. It shifts the burden of paying for their end-of-life management from our local cities and counties and our environment and our ratepayers to the producers. And with me to testify in support of the bill today, I have Heidi Sanborn from the National Stewardship Action Council and John Kennedy with the rural counties speaking in support of the bill.
Just brought all my constituents. Thank you.
Yes.
Whenever you're ready.
Just whatever pressure I can apply.
Thank you, Senator Allen, Vice Chair and members. My name is Heidi Sanborn of the National Stewardship Action Council, and we advocate for an equitable circular economy and are the nation's leaders in extended producer responsibility. California's statewide Commission on Recycling Markets and Curbside Recycling, which I chaired, developed 34 policy recommendations, passing with unanimous votes of 17-0. And we had stakeholders, which included waste haulers, local governments, unions, and environmental organizations. And many of our recommendations have become law. But the very first recommendation we adopted in 2020 was that we should have EPR for household hazardous waste, the stuff that's the most dangerous and has no market. The Commission's final report stated, quote, swift legislative action is needed to clearly extend producer responsibilities for end-of-life management for products that are hazardous or have been implicated in causing fires. And this is 4 years later. The costs local governments and thereby ratepayers must pay to manage household hazardous waste are exorbitant, with LA County spending $9 million a year last year, and that's only for the portion that's left after passing mercury thermostats, paint, and needles and medications. Additionally, we know we still don't even collect, maybe at the best day, a quarter of what is out there. The remainder is improperly disposed of in the trash or recycling, where it adds costs and contaminates food-grade materials, is dumped in the environment, or stockpiled in residents' homes, where it can be a fire and safety risk. And for example, we recently toured with the vice chair, actually, the Cal Waste facility down in Galt, which is a material recovery facility that only sorts blue bins. And yet at the back of the lot, they had a hazardous waste area because they pulled 183,000 pounds of household hazardous waste out of clean, recyclable materials, many of which are going to go into the packaging and food-grade materials, out of just that one MRF in 1 year, and it cost them $150,000. And they actually gave us a letter in support of this bill with that data. The legislature has taken a product-by-product approach, as was mentioned, and so we can continue by either, we have three choices. We can continue with the product-by-product approach, which I can tell you that the haulers do not like. They would like to see one pro for the rest of these products. They don't want to see them keep coming. There's a lot of administration. Or we can wait until the counties start implementing EPR ordinances, which has already been approved, and several counties have given their approval to their staff to proceed. And then we also could adopt a statewide solution, which would harmonize. And we prefer the harmonized statewide approach. So we've been meeting with the opposition. I talked with Redwood Materials yesterday. We think we have a solution to their issue. We've offered even extending the dates by a year. We know that there's a lot of EPR bills in front of these manufacturers, and that has also been discussed. So we look forward to continuing those discussions, and we've invited the opposition to actually join us in Zoom meetings with the producer-run organizations in Canada and Europe. So with that, I want to thank you and ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, and we got about 1 minute left.
All right.
John.
So,
Sorry, John.
John Kennedy with RCRC.
I'm not going to treat rural counties like that.
We represent 40 of the state's 58 counties. So the smallest, Imperial, about 1,100 residents. The largest, Sonoma, about 500,000 from Del Norte all the way, smallest, Alpine, from Del Norte all the way to Imperial. We're here to support SB 1143 today. As the author said, local governments are responsible for solid waste management, recycling, and disposal. We own and operate solid waste facilities, transfer stations, household hazardous waste collection facilities, and we also conduct temporary events. We have no control over what ends up in our waste streams that we have to then manage at the end of those products' useful lives. The costs are borne, as the author said, by local governments and residents. There's no incentive for manufacturers to design better products, design less toxic products, or facilitate recycling of those products. Sometimes these products cost us more to manage at the end of the useful life than it costs the consumer at the point of sale. So we're supporting this bill today because it helps us reduce those significant cost exposures. We strive to provide at household hazardous waste collection facilities convenient and safe disposal for HHW. We try to keep costs low, free for many residents or most residents, because when we impose costs or gate fees, we know that stuff goes out into the environment and will get dumped illegally. We then have to go find that waste, pick up the waste, and then manage the waste. So we're supporting 1143 again because it helps us implement convenience for collection of HHW, reduce costs for local government, encourages manufacturers to redesign their products, and fills gaps in other EPR programs. And I've also been asked to support the bill on behalf of CSAC, the State Association of Counties, and the League of Cities as well.
Thank you. Anyone else in support like to come forward? Whenever you're ready.
Mr. Chair, Justin Malone, on behalf of the Environmental Health Administrators, they're your Coopers and your solid waste regulators. Thank you.
Hello, Kayla Robinson on behalf of Rethink Waste and Support. Thanks.
Fatima Bolzaway with California Environmental Voters in Support.
Courtney Scott with Zero Waste Sonoma in strong support, and I also have the following entities in support: Napa Recycling and Waste Services, Tree Hugger, Marin Sanitary Service, Sustainable Mill Valley, City of Thousand Oaks, Ban Single-Use Plastics, Clean Water Action, and Five Gyres.
And Jordan Wells expressing support for Pesticide Action Network, D-Spray Environmental Working Group, Northern California Recycling Association, Zero Waste Marin Joint Powers Authority, Mojave Desert and Mountain Recycling Authority, North American Hazardous Materials Management Association, and the Elders Climate Action Northern and Southern California chapters.
You, Dylan Elliott, on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, the County of San Joaquin, the California Product Stewardship Council, Stop Waste, and the Western Placer Waste Management Authority, all in support. Thank you. Wonderful author and staff.
Good afternoon, Lindsay Goldhorn with Capital Advocacy on behalf of the Resource Recovery Coalition of California in support.
David Krieger for Waste Connections in support.
John Moffat for Waste Management in support.
Roman Vogelsang with Republic Services here in support. Thank you.
Tony Hackett, Californians Against Waste in support.
Keely Morris with Edelstein, Gilbert, Robeson, and Smith on behalf of Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts in support.
Jeremy Jones from the American Coatings Association on behalf of the founder of the first paint stewardship program here in California in support.
Celeste Wicks with Clean Earth for Kids in support. Also in support, North County Equity and Justice, Eco-Sustainability Peeps, NCCCA, Grandparents Acting Together, and Facts. Thank you.
Josh Gauger on behalf of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors in support, and also on behalf of the Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors with a support and concept position. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Do we have anyone in opposition? If you could please come forward.
Should I move down? Okay. Sorry to split.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, I think officially, yes. Chair members, Nicole Quinones here on behalf of the Household and Commercial Products Association, regretfully in opposition to SB 1143. Our members manufacture many of the products included in the scope of this bill, from pesticides such as disinfectants and cleaning products that are used to sanitize our hospitals and our homes, to aerosol products and automotive products. First, we want to appreciate the author's office and sponsors for their willingness to engage with us on this important topic. We do have a history of working together collaboratively on tough policies, and we are committed to do the same on this issue. However, we believe additional study is warranted prior to passing another very large EPR program. Our coalition does not object to the expansion of the paid care program, which is in the bill. However, in lieu of establishing the EPR program for the other HHW, we've offered to conduct an industry-funded needs assessment to better understand the gaps in the household hazardous waste collection and management, and most importantly, the resources necessary to improve its collection. While EPR programs do make sense sometimes, we are very interested in understanding if we need that type of, again, administrative function when we're talking about the collection of hazardous waste, household hazardous waste. Perhaps there's other models if it's more of a resources issue to our local governments, which have already set up collection processes. I think that's something we want to explore. Currently, the bill has three essentially administrative oversight agencies between CalRecycle, the Department of Toxic Substances Control, and this producer responsibility organization. So all of those costs would need to be covered by producers before they have done anything to increase the collection and management of household hazardous waste. So we believe there could be a better use of those resources. Additionally, DTSC is updating their hazardous waste management plan, which is due to the legislature in March of next year. And we see this report as critical in setting the foundation for what is considered household hazardous waste, or hazardous waste more broadly. California has the strictest criteria for hazardous waste in the nation, resulting in many more products being managed as hazardous waste than would be anywhere else in the country. Things like cosmetic products usually fail the hazardous waste criteria, which is why I think they're exempted from this bill. To be clear, I don't think anyone considers those the most toxic products, but I think it demonstrates the foundational need to kind of look at those criteria and create a better playing field, I think, before, again, establishing this large program. I think one question we have is if this report comes out, the criteria changes, this program is already in place, how do those manufacturers or producers who have now joined this PRO, paid in to try to get it up and running, and their products are no longer in scope, how do they then get out of this program? So again, having the time to fix that criteria at the front end. And then finally—
Just want to make sure we leave some time for your colleagues.
He told me to take as much time as I want. Finally, we recently enacted SB 54 by Senator Allen, the most comprehensive and rigorous EPR program in the country on packaging waste. And the companies within scope of this program under 1143 are also under the scope of SB 54, separately, but just from a point of view of resources that it's taking to comply with that, to then also layer this program on top of it. Also, resources and staff time at the state is an important consideration, I think, considering the timing of it all. So for these reasons, we are opposed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next witness.
Greg Herner on behalf of the Can Manufacturers Institute. I want to say that, for one thing, absolutely agree on a couple of the comments that the proponents made on this. There's a significant issue here with products ending up where they're not supposed to be, right? And that's a consumer education component to this. And nothing in this bill solves that. That is one of the things we struggle with under all of these EPR programs, is trying to make sure that the consumer does the right thing. That is a significant challenge, and that could relate to labeling. I represent metal packaging. Metal packaging is amazing, right? So easy to recycle, unless you're governed by the SB 54 program, because right now, with some previous legislation that's gone through, CalRecycle hasn't been able to determine that metal packaging can use the recycling symbol, even though it can be pulled out of the system by magnets. So we are struggling with implementation of some of these other programs that we're already dealing with, and that's why I'm emphasizing that. We need time. We need to work through this needs assessment. We need to look at what products should be included and shouldn't be included. Metal packaging can actually, if there's contents left in it, it might be household hazardous waste, but if it's empty, it could actually be recycled through the regular process. We need that material back. We want that material back. Metal packaging can be 100% recycled, come back as new products in as little as 60 to 90 days. So this isn't a no. This is, let's do it in the right order. Let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's do the needs assessment. Let's figure out what products should be included. Let's figure out if there's a consumer education component to this and work on that. Waste Management was actually one of the first companies to start doing household hazardous waste pickup in communities by appointment to try and help with that consumer education piece and try to make sure this goes to the right locations and those consumers can help keep the system, have the products go where they need to go. That's what we're trying to say is let us do that needs assessment. Let us look at that and let's see what the best system is on whether on providing the service.
Thank you so much. Anyone else in opposition? Please come forward.
Thank you. Dawn Kepke on behalf of the California Manufacturers and Technology Association and Chemical Industry Council of California, both in respectful opposition. Thank you.
Randy Pollock on behalf of the American Chemistry Council in opposition.
Dan Cho on behalf of Redwood Materials. As Ms. Sanborn said, we look forward to removing our opposition soon. Thank you.
Taylor Rushin on behalf of Western Plant Health Association, Crop Life America, and RISE in respectful opposition.
Thank you. With that, I'll bring it back to the committee. Does anyone have any questions? Ms. McKenna.
Yes. I'd like to thank the author for bringing this bill forward. I've also done a little travel and been able to see in Canada how recycling is done, how our manufacturers and our end users are working together. So I think this is a perfect solution for us to get together and work on this, and it gives the manufacturer the opportunity to have a say in what's going on and to participate in our clean energy, because we all know, we could see that we have a climate change problem. We could see that our cities and our counties are having trouble with recycling. I live in the city of Hawthorne. We're having a lot of trouble with our recycling, with our composting. Knowing where to put the plastics, knowing if it's any good to put it in the recycling bin. I mean, it's just a mess. And I think that if you guys can all get together and work on this, and having the beginning user to take some of the responsibility for solving some of this problem is helpful. So I will be voting for the, matter of fact, I'll move the bill.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Yes.
Well, Senator, you are correct. You always look for a more comprehensive approach that encompasses everything. And I think that it's great that we look to doing that rather than doing one bill that takes care of one thing and another and another. One of the comments that was made about putting together a needs assessment, is that part of the bill?
Yeah, it is. It is, of course, because in the end of the day, it's going to be a critical part of making this whole thing work. And we actually gave a lot of runway in the bill to incorporate this big hazardous waste management plan that was mentioned. It's part of why we push implementation back to 2027. I mean, obviously, I think industry, for reasons I totally understand, want to do the needs assessment first and then have us talk about a plan. I think, it's my experience that having the motivation of real solutions creates a sense of urgency and real focus on the part of all the folks involved, and that's, I think, where our tension point is. But it's because of this that we purposely gave so much time for implementation.
And I would imagine that there are some who are already working on, what is it called, end of life, recycling already. And is there something in the bill that not so much rewards them, but incorporates what they're already doing through this process?
Yeah, I mean, those are the folks that are going to have the most to gain ultimately from a bill like this, because they've got the existing infrastructure, and they're going to be the ones that the producers are going to go to contract with and work with, because they're now going to be required to ensure true recyclability, true circularity. That's what we found with SB 54, for example, and we certainly fully anticipate that happening here.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Well, I will just say that I absolutely understand and agree with the problem identified in this bill. I think the strain that it is putting on local governments is a huge problem, and it's something we need to address. I think my issue with the bill is probably the timing. I would probably like to see this happen after we get that report back next year, but that's currently where I am at right now. But with that, Senator, I would offer you an opportunity to close.
Yeah. Appreciate those comments a great deal, and this has been a topic of a lot of. We had a great meeting in one of the conference rooms not too long ago about this very issue. The needs assessment, unlikely to be able to be completed in a year. I think the challenge we have is that this problem continues to grow. We keep hearing from our friends in local government how untenable it's become. Costs continue to rise for them. Those costs end up getting passed on to our constituents, and this is an attempt to, basically require the folks that, have the most tools at their disposal to determine, how these products are produced and how they end up, to have some skin in the game in this conversation. I totally understand and respect the concerns about the fact we just did SB 54. A lot of them are still reeling on implementation on that. It's part, as I say, it's why we structured the bill to give ample time to both the producers and the departments. Important part of the story too, to learn from SB 54 implementation, but we believe strongly that it's important to set this work in motion. The other thing I will say, if hazardous materials are not kept out of the recycling stream, it's going to make it much harder for some of the very same companies to meet their SB 54 mandates, which have toxicity rules and requirements. It's certainly going to make it more costly. So I continue to hope and believe that we can get everyone closer. We're going to work hard over the summer to try to get everyone together on this. But this is a very real problem. It's really impacting local folks and regular constituents who are continuing to see their rates raised because our cities and the haulers and all the people in the waste industry are really struggling to meet our environmental standards while also managing this flood of household hazardous waste. And so I respectfully ask for a vote, and I continue to express my hope, desire, and commitment to really good, strong, robust conversations and negotiations with the opposition through the course of the summer to get us as close as we possibly can.
Thank you. With that, we'll go ahead and call the roll.
Item 2, SB 1143 Allen. The motion is do pass and re-referred to the Committee on Natural Resources. Garcia? Hoover?
No.
Hoover, no. Connolly? Connolly, aye. McKinner? Aye. McKinner, aye. Pappen? Reyes? Aye. Reyes, aye. Ta? No. Ta, no.
That will go on call. And we'll move to your final bill, Mr. Allen, the